we're making our YouTube premiere. You know, Mike's dressed beautifully. I tried. These guys, they look great.
We got the first ever piece of college cross game day merch. This was made last year, but we have more coming. This is like, one of one original by
it's my mother.
Yeah, Dan's mom is a Christmas gifter, but it came out pretty nice.
The plan is we have a link tree. We're going to populate that with some other stuff, including the YouTube links and the links to merch. Maybe a link to Bully Boy as well if you want to check them out. But yeah.
So to be clear, it's not, hey, let's get everyone's sizes and do some big order. Like, there's going to be a shop you guys can go on and order stuff right to where you live within a couple weeks. So
high quality merchandise.
Yeah.
What's on that store?
Yeah. That's all we wanted.
We don't make a dime off anything. So
no. It's called growing the game.
Yeah.
God damn it.
We don't make a dime off anything.
Nope.
No.
We should maybe rethink that, but for now we
got to make some more sales.
The best deal you can get.
All right. Yep. Well, let's make this episode as good as we can. All right. Let's get some callers. First one. What do we got?
Hey, what's up, game day? Currently sipping my coffee right here on a nice chilly morning in Boston, but I'm going to try to keep it as cordial as possible, but I think it's pretty clear that Coulter Mackesy is engaging in some satanic practices. I mean, this is fucking bullshit. I mean, this game against Penn State, it was so fucking clearly rigged. And, I'm not high on the Princeton Tigers this year. I think that's my hot take. Number one frauds in the fucking Ivy League, number one frauds in the country.
How can you say that after what happened?
Yeah, I disagree with that take. Who was that, by the way? Did he have any contact info on him or no?
This is from Upper Decky, our fellows.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's an interesting take, especially because they beat a pretty solid Penn State team. I agree that, I kind of expected Princeton to go in and win by a little bit more. But given the circumstances, playing indoors, their first game, Penn State's third game, I'm not totally shocked by the outcome. I agree. Coulter Mackesy's a stud. I think what won them that game was their goalie. I think I'm blanking on his name, but let me pull it up here. Ryan Croddick.
Okay.
He had 22 saves. Right? 22 saves against anybody is good enough to win you a game. And that's with Princeton going like 20% on the faceoff. I think Penn State won like 18 of 24 faceoffs. So, Princeton's got some holes. I wouldn't call them fraudulent just yet, but that was a good win for Princeton. I don't know if I agree with that take.
It sounds like something personal against Coulter there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah, and I have a take on this game.
Friend of the podcast, by the way, Coulter Mackesy.
Coulter and Upper Decky Lax. Love those guys. I respect anything comes out of their mouths. Couple takes in this game. BTM Plus, what the hell? Like, that was outrageous what you did to us. Outrageous. We have a subscription. I pay you money. I provide you income, and you provide us Princeton versus Penn State, a top 10 matchup, one of our 3 games of the week. Unanimous. Any lacrosse media company, a game of the week. I can't see the numbers on the uniforms. I don't get a scoreboard with my stream. We're in the,
No announcers?
No announcers. There's no commentary. There's one camera. You're filming from the roof of the neighboring building.
It was a little bit blurry too.
And
wouldn't call it high def.
That was bullshit. That was absolutely bullshit from BTM Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I am pissed off. Another thing too is this. If you've played a game in that Penn State indoor facility, that place is beautiful. That is an unbelievable indoor facility to play a lacrosse game. They have bleachers that go 100 yards with fans. It is a perfect place to play a lacrosse game. There is a big screen between the boxes that you can actually see in the broadcast. Inside a football practice facility, there's a big screen. That is an ideal place to play lacrosse, and it's so unfortunate that they pulled that shit, BTM Plus. That is ridiculous. Every consumer should be outraged, and we're one of them because we have everything because we're the satellite, and that need to be said. Sorry.
It was borderline unwatchable.
Unwatchable.
Which it shouldn't have been.
You don't know the numbers. You don't know the Princeton scores, the black team scores, and you only know it's Coulter Mackesy because it's a low to high lefty laser, and you don't know what number it is.
It looked like a scrimmage. It looked like we were watching film from a scrimmage.
If that was a scrimmage, I would have been like, fine, this is great. I'd love to tune in for this scrimmage versus Princeton and Penn State, but no, it was a game they had uniforms on.
I'm glad I didn't get to watch it, boys. I didn't know there was no commentary either. That's kind of crazy.
It was disgusting. It was awful.
But the one thing I would say about Princeton is I didn't watch the game, but what I saw on the score sheet was their big three attackmen registered all 11 points. So my idea is if you want to beat Princeton, shut down their attack, which I know is easier said than done, but that's going to be the game plan going forward. And maybe that's why Princeton could be fraudulent if you can shut down those three.
Great point.
That's all I would say.
Great point. Next call.
Hey, gents, this is Brad Callis Bush here, a.k.a. Big Brad, uncle of the Jack Callis. First-time listener. Heard about your pod through my son, Birchley, who played his high school ball at my alma mater, Gilman, down here in Baltimore. He's a former Bad Boys Lacrosse Club player under Coach John Mathers. Anywho, I wanted to get a pulse on your thoughts on the Richmond Spiders this year. Obviously, they took down the Virginia Cavs, which was a highly touted team. My question for you guys is, are the Cavs a bust, or is Richmond loaded and ready to make a run in the tourney this year? I'll tell you guys one thing. This McCabe Millen fellow is just like his dad was back in the day. As soft as a baby's ass. Let me know.
What an ending to that. I did not see that coming.
From the editor's perspective, I don't think there could be a better call. Please prove
That
us
sounded
wrong.
fake. That sounded like an AI voice.
What was his name?
His name is Brad John Callis Bush,
And he's a father of a
His father of,
Gilman grad.
father of a Gilman grad.
of Jack Callis. He was a guy a couple months ago, I think. He was like the Ravens fan who got in a fight. He like attacked some other people on the sidewalk, some like opposing fans. I don't know what team they supported, but yeah, he was a lacrosse player, so I think he's in prison now or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And that was his dad.
Yeah.
And he thinks McCabe Millen is soft.
Okay, but what did he ask? He asked if Richmond is legit or if Virginia is low at a low
If
point
it
this
gets
year, I
out
guess.
there, if that becomes a storyline that McCabe's soft, it's going to blow up. That'd be so funny.
I don't think he's soft. I think that's
I don't think so either, but like, can't you I don't know. I'm picturing McCabe Miller right now, and like soft wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know.
I don't
I think he's even if you don't like him, he's a ball player. Like he's a competitor. He goes hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him soft. He's obviously an unbelievable player. I think his emotions did get the best of him in this game.
He'd admit that.
Yeah, I think he'd admit it too. But that's just typical frustration out of a competitor like himself. But to get to the point, I think Richmond surprised Virginia, and I think, I wouldn't say I was necessarily surprised that Virginia lost this game. It was more so how they lost this game.
Yeah. They were dominated.
They were dominated by Richmond, who's, good. And I think, they've taken some big steps as a program. But, when you looked at Virginia, they really struggled on 6-on-6 offense, right? They really, really struggled. And it kind of like seemed like the first time that they, didn't have Schellenberger and Cormier and some of these other guys that they've had the past few years that were so dominant individually. And it just felt like they didn't have anybody to initiate from, which was surprising because they had the talent that they need. They have Millen, they have Schutz, they have Thomas Menke. They have a lot of good Dodgers, but it just felt stagnant at times. And I think Richmond did a good job shutting down their transition and shutting down Millen, who loves attacking in transition and scoring goals in unsettled situations. And Virginia couldn't really do that. And then, Mike, I don't know if you noticed this, but Virginia's off-ball defense was not where it needs to be. They have studs on ball, and I think, there's, maybe a lack of leadership there. I don't think that's the issue. I think, maybe not playing Nunes and playing who was the goalie that played? What's his name? Morris. Kyle Morris. Right. I think maybe that contributed to a little bit, but, again, he's a sophomore and has, valuable starting experience. But yeah, I wouldn't say the alarm bells are going off for Virginia, but the way that they lost that game, that was the first time in a long time they haven't, looked immortal.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna hear about this game again. Let's get to the next call.
Hey guys, I'll keep it quick. It's John Hurley here. I'm going to Chili's in a little bit. We're closing it down. Do you guys think Maryland wins the Big Ten or Hopkins?
Thanks, Johnny. Johnny Hurley, Hobart alum, 20, 23, 24 alum.
Yeah.
24.
He's closing down Chili's. He wants to know who's going to win the Big Ten. Maryland or Hopkins? Gun to your head right now. Who do you got to pick?
Maryland.
Yeah, I'd say Maryland too. They proved it this week. Brett, who would you say?
I'm gonna stick with Maryland. I feel like they just always play in May.
Mike?
That's my opinion.
I'm going Maryland too, but I would like to say it's probably more of a toss-up than it's ever been, especially with Hopkins, how good Hopkins looks and how good they've started the year. But I feel like you got to stick with Maryland.
And you
They're
can't
tried and true. They're winners.
Yeah. You can't pin it down to two teams either in that conference.
I just don't think we can bet against John Tillman anymore.
No.
Right, this past week.
I didn't.
I
didn't. You were a fool if you took Syracuse minus 3.5. Fool.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Next call.
But
go ahead, Mike. What was your point?
Well, like you said, it's like we're talking about Maryland and Hopkins, but fucking Michigan could easily win it.
2 years in a row. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it.
Who's to say? Go ahead.
Dean, Middyback Vanderlander here. Just thought I'd buzz in and give my 2 cents on this past week of Lacrosse. Anyway, now everybody likes to get all hype on their horses about that Joey Spalliner loss. Maryland over Syracuse. Who the hell didn't see it coming? If you didn't have your books set at plus 3.5 Maryland, I don't think you were feeding your family this week. Anyway, this is just what the doctor ordered for a man like Spalliner. A little adversity early in the season against a top team just to really kick his butt where it needs to be. Now, hell, I'm excited for what's to come out of the Orange, but do you think they've got what it takes to make a run?
Thanks, Dean. Dean Middyback.
Wow.
Love you, Middyback.
Dean knows how to deliver a message, man. Holy shit.
He does.
The pauses, everything.
Right. His delivery. Do they have what it takes to make a run? Syracuse. Right now, I'd say if I were to, put my money on it, they're far from my favorite to win a national title.
Yep.
Well, the sad truth is they're going to have to play outside to win a national championship. And until they prove to any of us that they can beat a really good team on the road outside, I'm off. I'm off of it.
Fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Syracuse so quick. Look, we can make all the excuses in the world for them. They played in, tough weather. They're playing outside for the first time. They're wearing blue. They're playing a really good defense. I think, my biggest takeaway from that game was that Syracuse never really got the flow that they needed. Spallina, I think, had 2 and 2. Leo Johnson, who's been a stud all year, didn't record a point. A lot of the other guys who you're used to seeing, Finn Thompson, Luke Rowe on offense, right? They didn't really contribute much. I think it's a testament to Maryland and how strong their defense is. And I also think, I think Mathers was right. It's a little kick in the butt for Syracuse. I think it came at the right time. Was that Middyback?
Yeah.
It was Dean.
Dean Vander, sorry. I think it was a kick in the butt at the right time. It's what they need. And I think every championship team has that moment. It kind of depends on when. I think earlier the better for a team like Syracuse to really look internally and figure out what they need to work on. But yeah, I wouldn't count out Syracuse. I think they're a Final Four team. I don't, they might not be the 1 or 2 or 3 seed, but I don't think it really matters for them. I think as long as they get in the tournament, they can beat anybody. They can get to championship weekend, no question.
One other point he made, that line was silly. I thought that was a silly line.
Yeah.
It's Maryland.
It is. But people love betting against Maryland for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Can't do it anymore.
No, you can't. You're just going to
can't do it.
You're going to give DraftKings
Who would do such a thing?
your inheritance. All right, next call.
So, college lacrosse game day. How's the pod going, boys? Anyway, I heard this guy Paul Rabel talking about making the game more accessible to people. Well, why don't we start with the goddamn college streams? I'm paying $60 out of pocket to see VMI play Mercyhurst? You gotta be kidding me. Can't someone's dad just pay for the whole thing? I mean, that's what mine did for spring break. Cabo was sick.
He's got a point, and I made it earlier. He's got a hell of a point. The streams are ridiculous. They're bullshit. I'm BTN Plus specifically. That's the one. ESPN Plus, I think they deliver. I don't know how their business model works. It's different wherever you're watching a game, who's ever hosting it, whatever. Some are better than others. I don't think they control everything. BTN Plus, step it up. step it up.
Yeah, BTN Plus has been all right. I think that last game, the Penn State Princeton game, really turned some people off.
The Syracuse Maryland broadcast was great. It was great. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's absolutely ridiculous how much you have to pay. We mentioned earlier we have all the streams, and I think it costs like $40 a month, right? Like at least.
Yeah. We should rank this. We should do a Mount Rushmore of streams. We should rank the streams at some point.
Yeah. On that note, like we just got Flow Live. Those are actually high quality streams, and I think it's worth the $10, especially the games that they have on there. But like this whole Midcoast sports thing, Big Ten Plus not delivering. I don't know what else there is.
Lacrosse TV.
Lacrosse TV.
Cut out.
They had their own debacle.
Oh, it's just terrible.
It is just inaccessible.
What was the Harvard Princeton game, our Providence game on?
That was Flow Live.
Great, great podcast.
Good broadcast, yeah. But
that's good.
Freedom isn't free.
It's not free. You got to pay for it, and there's subscription costs. And they do the annual model, which is smart because I only want that thing for 3 months. Need it for 3 months. All right, next call.
Hey guys, just wanted to call in and ask about two teams who started out really hot and I think surprised some people a little bit. It's Fairfield and Lafayette. They have a pretty decent schedule moving forward, and I think that they could actually surprise some people. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about their upcoming schedule and how things might pan out within their respective conferences.
Great call.
Yeah, that was nice.
Great call.
Yeah,
more serious.
I mean, just two tough conferences, right?
That was Connor. Before you go, Connor Flood. Hobart and Albany alum, friend of the program, great guy. Gave us a meatball right down the middle.
Number 49.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Connor Flood. Just two tough conferences. What I first think of, right? We're talking about the CAA and the Patriot League, right? Yeah. So we're talking about we got to beat out. I don't have their schedule up right now, but we got to beat out. Someone should pull it up. But
yeah, I'm pulling up Fairfield. I'll get.
So CAA, we got to win the conference. We got to beat out Towson. We got to beat out Delaware. That's my first two thoughts, let alone Drexel and whoever else is competing there. And then, I mean, Patriot League's always tough. And we're talking about Lehigh, Loyola, Army, Navy, BU. It definitely seems maybe the Patriot League seems like a little bit more of a toss-up this year. It seems like a deeper or a steeper path to the championship.
Yeah.
But the CAA is just heavy at the top.
It's
really heavy at the top.
I'm looking at Fairfield's schedule. Honestly, face value, they've played their two hardest out-of-conference games, Lehigh and Brown, and they won both of them. Lafayette just had a tough loss to Drexel tonight. We're recording on a Tuesday. Yeah. So that was difficult. And, forget who they play out of conference. In conference is going to be everything for them. Fairfield, though, they played Providence. That's a good out-of-conference game. St. John's, not a gimme. The rest of it's in conference, and if they want to be in the tournament, they got to beat Towson, they got to beat Hofstra, they got to beat Delaware. So they got to make the tournament. That should be their goal right now.
Yeah, I think that Lafayette loss to Drexel tonight tells us a lot about Lafayette. They're a good team, but the Patriot League is loaded. Army, Loyola, Colgate's pretty solid this year. Lehigh, Navy, right? It's always a gauntlet. I don't see Lafayette, running through that. Maybe they're in the top half by the end of the year, but I just don't know. Too many unknowns about Lafayette. Really tough schedule. Patriot League's always tough. They always beat each other up. It's going to be tough for them to come out on top there. Fairfield, on the other hand, right, Dan, I think you mentioned it. They played Lehigh and Brown. 2 solid wins. I think their next game tomorrow night, Wednesday night, they're going to Sacred Heart, which is an underrated game. That's a big time trap game for them.
It's a rivalry too.
Rivalry game, in-state game. Sacred Heart is pretty solid this year. I think if Fairfield can pull that out, maybe in dominating fashion, it'll tell a lot about them. But yeah, after that, Manhattan, I think that's a win. Providence, that's another toss-up game. But Fairfield's a legit team this year. They're really fun to watch. They seem pretty mature. And they have some studs, right? We talked about Julian Radishis last week. That guy,
he's so. I watch him now.
Beast.
Yeah, he's a
beast.
Sophomore, right? And he was.
How could you not?
He was a CAA Freshman of the Year last year, right? Honorable mention, preseason All-American. He's a stud, and he's going to be a guy if he stays at Fairfield for the next 3 years. That's going to be a mainstay in the All-American list.
Who's the Lions defensive end? Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Have you seen him play on Lacrosse? Like his high school highlights?
It's probably terrifying.
They pull him up. That's what Radisic looks like.
Yeah.
Who's in the field. Looks like an NFL defensive end. playing defense at Fairfield.
That's a massive compliment.
Yeah. He's a top tier LSM defenseman in college lacrosse, right? You know, just because he plays for Fairfield and he kind of looks like a man amongst boys sometimes, right? He is as good as anybody at that position and a guy definitely to keep an eye on this year.
Beast. Next call.
Hey, College Lacrosse Game Day. It's Matt from the Greenland again, calling in again. I just wanted to talk about that Premier Lacrosse League goal horn. I'm sick of it. Listen to this shit. What the fuck is that? What the fuck? Makes me want to just... I'm gonna fucking do it!
He really hates the blowhorn.
He's not alone.
Great take. That thing sucks.
Did they have it in the
sounds like
championship series too?
Probably.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Too many goals.
No. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
What's wrong?
It kind of sounds like what's wrong with it? Sounds like the start of like you're warning people the zombie apocalypse just started, or like
Yeah, I think
like
it's a flood.
there's a catastrophic
Totally.
7.8 hurricane coming or earthquake. Sorry, I don't know. I don't like it either.
No, and it's
it
like
sucks.
I remember we were at we'll show this video at some point. We were at the first ever PLL lacrosse game ever.
Yep.
Opening weekend.
Don't remember a thing, but great time. And they did the blowhorn. I remember the blowhorn. They did it for the first goal, and then they did it for the second goal and the third goal, and then they did it the next week, and it was like, oh, this is their thing. And they've done it for 5-6 years now. And it's like, when the cannons score, I want to hear fucking cannon. I want to hear a cannon. When
Sick.
when the archers, I don't know, that's a bad one, but when the Atlas score, I want to hear like a bull. Like there needs to be a little more personality.
Yeah.
It's too much like
I also don't even think you really need a goal horn, right? I think it's almost better to like play a song like whoever.
I was about to say,
a
what
goal
about
song.
like specific player songs? Like Hayden has fucking "Saving Me" by Nickelback. That'd be mine, but
Yeah.
that'd be pretty dope.
would we hear it?
You'd hear it maybe once in my 3-year career.
3 years and out.
Yeah.
3 and out.
No, good take. I haven't really noticed it, but I haven't been listening, so I'll keep an eye on it.
It's kind of hard to miss.
Upcoming summer.
First time caller, long time listener. I wanted to get your guys' take on the UVA versus Richmond game. As you guys saw, Richmond was able to upset Virginia. I'm curious, is this the downfall of Virginia? And does Richmond have a chance in the tournament? Thanks, Vladimir.
Vladimir. Hey, grow the game, baby. It's in Russia. It's in Russia now. Great question from Vladimir.
Maybe our first international caller.
Yeah, that's a milestone.
Oh.
What a beast.
It came in from some weird number. I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, they weren't letters or numbers. They
No.
were symbols.
Symbols.
Backwards numbers and letters. Yeah.
It was a video of a guy wrestling a bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have what it takes in the tournament? Someone needs to explain to him how it works and how you get to the tournament. I think he's close as a fan. He's watching games, which we love, but someone's got to explain, hey, if Richmond's going to play in the tournament, they got to win the A10, which is not an easy thing to do. They did it 2 years ago, not last year. Is Richmond the A10 favorite, Mike, right now as our A10 specialist?
Yeah. Right at this very moment, Richmond, it'd be, I think Richmond was the favorite to begin the preseason and then St. Joe's follow, and I think that's where you'd stay at the moment. St. Joe's hasn't proven anything yet, and Richmond has the biggest win by far out of everyone in the conference. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think Richmond's definitely the favorite. I think they, probably will make the tournament. And they have some studs, right? Like Aiden O'Neill is a beast. If you watch him against Virginia, he just distributes. He's a confident player. Lucas Littlejohn was another guy I think we mentioned who kind of had a breakout game. But yeah, no, they're a solid team. They're well coached. They played Virginia very tough, right? That was kind of one of the surprising things about that game was how tough they played Virginia, right? They never really backed down, and they were kind of on top the whole game. And it's pretty impressive to see a team like Richmond against Syracuse not give up that lead and kind of get themselves into a trap, right? It shows that they're well coached, they're confident, they're experienced, they know what they're doing. So yeah, Richmond is a fun team. I think this is probably the best team they've had in in a long time.
You were waiting for Virginia to score like 5 goals in a row.
Right.
And they never did.
Yep.
I think they also just ran into a solid mid-major team in Richmond who has a history of winning, and UVA has all new faces. They're still putting it together too. Maybe they went in a little overconfident in that game. Who knows? But I mean, it's not like that crazy. You know, this if you look at that UVA team, there's so many new faces, especially on offense. So I think you really got to factor that in. And then also, Richmond defender Hunter Smith, number 6, he was on McCabe. He's a stud. And from what I heard from people in Richmond is they basically told the defense not to slide to him. That he was just one-on-one in that matchup. This kid, he's an eraser, and he's going to do that against everyone this year. So that's also very important to have, plus a really good goalie in Zach Vieg, who I think had like 13, 14 saves in that game. So those are big factors.
Yeah. Hunter Smith.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on him.
Well, one last point on that. I think Dan Shamati, last time, they played Virginia, or at least a couple years ago, he said that, what it's going to take for Richmond to take that next step as a program is to beat Virginia at Virginia, right? Interstate rivalry. That's a big win for Virginia, for recruiting purposes, for in-state kids. For Richmond. Big win for them, big for their program.
Yeah.
Happy to see it for them.
That was the first thing I said. They just won 2 more 4-star recruits. 2 more big kids are going to Richmond after that win. All right, next call.
Yeah, this is Freddie calling in from 495 South in Bellingham. Only question I really have is, what the hell are you guys smoking up there? I mean, come on. You guys said this Providence team was fun to watch and well coached. I don't know about you, but I didn't realize having those brainiacs up in Cambridge come down and bend you over at home was considered fun. I mean, not only are they smarter than you, but harder than you, tougher than you, just better than you in every facet of the game. It's brutal. I mean, this Providence team wants to be relevant. They want to be, put in the same class as their basketball and hockey programs. And every year it's just piss. Awful performance out of them. It's bad, and I'm so sick of it. God.
Good take. Who was that from 495 South Bellingham?
He's from Bellingham.
What?
Yeah, he seems like he has a reason to hate Providence.
Expectations are high, I think, for their fan base. They have all the resources. They have, like he said, great hockey program, great basketball program. They don't have football. I think it's weird. It's a smaller kind of school, and the basketball players and the hockey players are future celebrities.
Some of them. Sure.
Yeah, some of them, not all of them. And then there's a lacrosse team who is fighting to be relevant, and I think they're having a great start to the year. Tough loss to Harvard, but I mean, we're doing the podcast. We're rooting for them. I don't know. What'd you guys think of that game?
Yeah. That was a disappointing loss for Providence. I don't think Harvard is as good as they've been ranked and as advertised.
Just lost
in the preseason. Yeah, they just lost to Colgate
today.
So. Yeah, disappointing loss for Providence, who I think had a ton of momentum and a really exciting start to the season. I don't think this is, by any means the end of Providence. I think this was just a slip game. You're playing Harvard. It's a big opponent. It's a, borderline a rivalry game, I guess you could say. And, I don't know if they were intimidated or what, but it just seemed like they didn't perform at the level they have in the past couple of weeks, which, wasn't great to see as a Providence supporting podcast. But, I think Providence is a real deal. I think they have a good shot at making a run at the Big East. It's tough, but they did it last year, I think, with a lesser team. So I like where Providence is at. I'm excited to watch them fight back from this one.
And Hayden, that's all that matters, is if they make a run at the Big East. Because at the end of the day, as much as we want Providence to go undefeated and getting at large, they're not. So learn from the loss to Harvard, win the Big East, which is you got to beat some really good teams there. Denver, Georgetown, to name 2.
I mean, one goal away, an overtime goal away from beating Georgetown in the semifinal last year.
Yeah. Really in the grand scheme of things, this game doesn't mean much for them. Obviously, it would have been great for their confidence if they won. But, I think they can kind of throw this one away and move on.
One more call? Why not?
Joey Spallina, what happened? I'm just fucking with you guys. You had 2 pretty good snipes there. Listen, I tried one of these Zinnichitos for the first time. I was fucking buzzing like Buzz Lightyear, let me tell you. But yeah, pretty disappointed with Cuse, but they'll bounce back.
Someone's got to tell that kid to stop sending.
Where's that kid's parents?
Yeah, stop sneaking Tito's and stuffing Zin in. He probably went for a ride.
Oh, yeah. I don't really know what to say about that. Tough game. I thought Spallina played pretty well. I guess he is kind of garnering a reputation for maybe getting shut down in big games against big opponents. I don't know if he got shut down. I think, he wishes he could have done more. But he played all right. He kind of did his role. I don't think he elevated the guys around him like he has in the first 3 games of the year. But he's Joey Spallina. He's a real deal. He's gonna take this one as motivation.
He's gonna get heat for that. He's gonna get heat for not scoring a bunch of goals against Maryland in a big game that everyone's watching. And he's got to wear that. He's wearing the 22. He's at Syracuse. He's their guy. So comes with the territory.
I mean, massive expectations, Dan. 100%. And I mean, he was against, Will Scheller, who's Maryland's guy. And from what I saw, again, I was at a game, but from the highlights, it looked like he scored 2 goals dodging him man to man, which I think is a good step for him, because I feel like that's his biggest knock, right? Is you can't beat, the big time defenders. So, but I think the other, issue for Cuse is it seems like let Spallina beat us, right? If Spallina's scoring 2 goals 1v1, we're shutting everyone else down, then we're going to win the game. That's kind of what I'm starting to think is maybe the kryptonite of Cuse is if you can make Spallina beat you 1v1 and score goals, you're going to win.
And it's tough
maybe that's a scout, but
yeah, it's tough to move the ball like the Harlem Globetrotters, like Syracuse does sometimes when you're not beating your man, and Maryland's challenging you to beat your man to score goals. So maybe that's the recipe for Cuse. Make them score 1-on-1. It's a good segment, boys.
That was good.
Good call-ins. Thank you. Keep them coming.
Just a reminder, follow us on Instagram, cue into YouTube, and also check out the merch through our link tree. We're excited to keep it going on YouTube and pushing these out.